After 4 months away, which may feel like an eternity due to the current COVID-19 pandemic, the GP4 OC News is back for series number 5. And as we arrive at the Nürburgring for the German Grand Prix, the final time the top class will race at the Nürburgring, the sign-ups for this year's silly season has officially closed, with this season having the potential to be one of the most crazy silly seasons in a while. So whilst we wait for the first news to break, let's have a rundown of what we know already and what are the rumours heading in for the next 10 weeks. Let's start off with the sign-up process, as that has had a tweak from last season. Unlike previous seasons where the pick order was determined by how many people put a certain team down, the pick order for this season is determined by how many people put a certain team down as their number one choice. This was put in place to make the sign up process a lot more easier than what it has been in previous seasons. And after the first sign up with this tweak, it does seem that in principle it has worked despite the potential of this year's silly season being one of the most crazy in seasons. Next thing to talk about is the regulations, as there are two notable things that people will notice about the cars next season. First, the 2018 season will see the ban of the ugly sharp things and T-wings seen at the back of the engine cover, but the most notable thing that people will notice is the introduction of the controversial halo. The device will be required to be installed on the cars for next season in an attempt to increase head protection on the drivers. There was talk a few seasons ago that the device could be dropped for GP4C, however due to complications with the textures this was not possible, and on top of that, because we are in the year 2020, everyone has gotten used to the device, so there isn't a need to remove it no matter how controversial it may be. Sticking with the topic of regulations, the tyres will have a change too, as there will be 2 new compounds added for next year, bringing the total tyre compounds from 5 to 7. Along with the 5 current compounds, the Ultra Soft, Super Soft, Soft, Medium and Hard, they'll be joined by the pink Hyper Soft tyre, which will be quicker than the purple Ultra Soft tyre, and the orange Super Hard tyre, which will be much harder to degrade than the regular hard tyre. As a result of the Super Hard adopting the orange colour, the hard tyre will change its colour from orange to a light blue. There is talk that it could be reduced to 3 compounds in 2019, but only time will tell. Moving on to the engine department. After a troublesome 3-year relationship, McLaren will be splitting up with Japanese manufacturer Honda at the end of the season and will be switching to French manufacturer Renault from next season. Throughout the last 3 seasons, McLaren's relationship with Honda strained due to the amount of reliability problems the team has suffered and how much of a lack of pace the team has had compared to their time with Mercedes. But now it seems McLaren has had enough and believes a switch to Renault will solve their problems. In terms of Honda, the Japanese manufacturer was originally meant to partner with Sauber for 2018, however that intended partnership ended before it even took off as a result of Frederic Vasseur taking over the team as team principal halfway this season from Manisha Kauterborn. As a result, Sauber has renegotiated with Ferrari, and as a result they will be using up-to-date Ferrari engines again for the first time since 2016, and on top of that, the team's future also looks secure thanks to the team securing a sponsorship deal / partnership with Alfa Romeo. The team will be looking to make strides next season and get back into fighting at the top end of the midfield. So where does that leave Honda? Well, in comes Toro Rosso. The Italian team was already looking for a new engine partnership in 2018 due to Red Bull's toy relationship with Renault that also has an impact on Toro Rosso. When news was circulating that McLaren wanted to split with Honda, Toro Rosso saw this as a great opportunity to finally split away from Renault and as such become the sole Honda powered team in 2018. With the Italian minnow securing Honda, there is talk that senior team Red Bull could also switch to Honda in the future if the relationship between Honda and Toro Rosso becomes successful. In terms of the calendar, there will be a new addition. For the first time in GP4C history, the top class will be racing around the circuit Paul Ricard and Le Castellet, which as a result will see the return of the French Grand Prix for the first time since 2008 when the top class was racing at the Circuit de Nevers-Manicourt. It won't be the first you'll see of this track, as for the past few seasons, DTM has been racing here, and from the looks of it, we are expecting a lot of overtaking around this track. Despite this though, 2018 will not feature the Malaysian Grand Prix, as along with the Nürburgring, 2017 will mark the last time the top class will race around Sepang. We hope that by the end of the season, we give both the Nürburgring and Sepang a good send-off from the top class. So that is what we know. So with that out of the way, let's look at some of the rumours that have dominated this year's silly season. From what we gather, Sauber have the most number 1 picks with 12 drivers, whilst Manor are second with 10. Williams and McLaren are tied with 8 picks, whilst Toro Rosso, Haas and Force India are tied with 6 picks. Mercedes have 5 picks, Ferrari have 3 picks, whilst Renault and Red Bull are tied with 2 picks. There are more drivers who have signed up to these teams, but because they haven't chosen them as the number 1 pick, this will not affect a certain team's pick order. Let's start off with the top 3 teams, Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, as unlike what everyone was expecting before the sign-ups began, this is where most of the chaos could end up happening. As everyone knows by now, Will Kneller will be retiring from the top class at the end of the season, with 2017 of course being his last chance to win the top class title. There was at one point some talk that Will might postpone his top class retirement and race in 2018, however it turned out that Will was trolling with his fans. Good one, Will. Before the silly season began, a majority of people were predicting that Franco Lopez would be the man to replace Will Kneller in 2018, however to the shock of everyone, another driver has staked his claim for that Mercedes seat. That driver being four-time champion Florian Volker, as the German has put the Silver Arrow down as his number one choice to the shock of everyone. People expected Florian to remain at Ferrari as a result of people calling him the OC version of Sebastian Vettel, but without the spins. However, Florian is looking for a new challenge in 2018 and it seems Mercedes could be that destination. After it transpired that Florian had put Merck as his number one choice, a lot of people believed that Franco Lopez was screwed out of a possible drive with the Silver Arrow. However, what may come as a surprise is that Franco still has a strong possibility of being at Mercedes next year. The reason being because of Jay McKenzie. Despite being the defending champion, Jay has had a miserable defence to his title, with the Polish-Canadian driver not securing a victory and only lying 6th in the Drivers' Championship, 55 points behind current championship leader Joseph Willows. A lot of people have been questioning whether Jay has lost his form, as it seems he's been struggling to get to grips with the new regulations. This is why Jay's future at the team isn't so secure, with Florian and Franco knocking on the door for a 2018 Mercedes seat. If Florian ends up being signed to Mercedes, where does that leave Ferrari and who will partner Joseph Willows, who is more likely to stay at the prancing horse for another season? Well, prepare yourself for another shock. In comes Amar Khan. Yes, the man who for the past few seasons has had on-track battles with Joseph Willows may end up being Joseph's teammate next year as a result of Amar putting Ferrari as his number one choice. It may come as a shock, as a lot of people thought that he may stay at Red Bull due to him fighting for the title this season with the team, but it seems he wants new scenery and that may happen in 2018. In terms of Red Bull, what will happen to them if Amar Khan leaves, and who will partner alongside Mikel Logano, who like with Joseph with Ferrari, is more likely to remain at Red Bull next season? Well, in steps in Rick Yan, as along with his current teammate Franco Lopez, Rick is looking for a change of scenery in 2018, and with Amar looking to go to Ferrari, Red Bull could be the change of scenery Rick is looking for. However, this is where things could get interesting, as if Jay McKenzie in his last 11 races is able to pick up the pace and ends up getting retained at Mercedes, and Franco Lopez gets chosen to be Jay's teammate, then there is a strong possibility that Volker and Khan will stay put at their current teams as a result of them putting Ferrari and Red Bull respectively as their second choice, essentially both of them playing it smartly with their choices. However, for Rick Yan, it would put him in a tricky spot, as there is a chance that he could be out of a drive in 2018 if Florian and Amar stay put, as a result of him only putting his current team Force India down as his number 3 choice. Franco Lopez could also be interesting, as if he misses out on the Merc seat and Florian ends up getting the drive instead, he does have a chance to go to Ferrari, having putting them down as his number 2 choice. Only time will tell what will happen with the top 3 teams for 2018. On to the midfield guys, and Force India is looking likely they'll have a new lineup in 2018, with both Franco Lopez and Rick Yan competing for a seat in the top 3. There are 4 drivers who are looking like candidates for the 2 seats at Force India, which are current Toro Rosso driver Michael Moccio, current Williams driver Roland Motrin, current Renault driver Talavi Nalterenon, and current DTM driver Robert Ionescu, who is looking to return to the series having previously been banned in 2016. Williams are also looking at a new lineup next year, with both Motrin and Anderson looking at new teams for next year, with them looking like they could be hiring drivers from tiers below. Names include Henry Watzel, Jamie Griffiths, 2015 Formula E champion Tobias Kress, Mercedes tester Liam Campana, former Sauber driver Bartosz Kloss, Irishman Chuck McCarthy, Italian Andre Federi, and Julius Anderson's brother Thomas Anderson. Speaking of Julius, he is rumoured with a possible move to Renault, as there is a chance that Renault could also be looking at a new lineup as a result of Nalterenon and Byrne putting other teams down as their number 1 choice. However, they could still end up staying put if things don't go according to plan with their number 1 choices. Victor Obobo has also had his name mentioned for a drive at Renault, however there is another name which might shock people. What if I told you that 2-time champion Jay McKenzie is a contender? Yep, even if Jay doesn't get retained at Mercedes, Jay still has a chance of still being in the top class in 2018, as he has put Renault down as his second choice, a team that he last drove for in 2012 when the team was known as Lotus. Moving on, Toro Rosso are looking more likely that they will have a new lineup in 2018, with Moccio competing for one of the Force India seats and Franco Garma making his choices clear that he wants to leave Toro Rosso at the end of the season after 6 seasons with the team. 3 contenders have staked their claim for the Toro Rosso seats, which are former Renault driver David Greenwood, current GP2 Championship leader Loa Chung, and current GP2 Championship contender Enis Parachki. Meanwhile at Haas, their current drivers Joel Hutter and George Roque are still contenders to have another season with the American-based team. However, for Joel, his way of getting to Haas will only be as a backup, as Haas is not his number one choice, unlike George Roque's. 4 more contenders have been mentioned for a possible drive at Haas next season. These include current Toro Rosso driver Franco Gamba, former Williams driver Adam Wolff, the team's current test driver Jared Fosbury, and 3-time race winner and Ferrari test driver Romain Quarg, who is looking to return to the top class after missing out on a seat in 2017. McLaren's candidates range from their current drivers Roberto Gamba and Oliver Glazebrook, the team's current test driver Matthias Terwick, former Haas driver Kirishima De Rosa, and current Renault driver Evan Byrne, as he is looking to return to the team that he got his last win with for the first time since 2012. It seems yet again the Irishman wants to switch teams. When will he ever stay put? Now let's get to the current bottom 2 in the championship, as they are in the top 2 in terms of the pick order. Sauber have a total of 8 contenders, which range from their current drivers Felix Sonderang and Paolino Tomaselli, current Haas driver Joel Hutter, the team's test driver Balint Zolga, current GP2 drivers Bence Valdinger and Daniel Adventure, and the Gomez brothers, which are 2016 GP2 champion Rodrigo Gomez and current DTM championship leader and former Haas driver Gabriel Gomez. As for Manor, 6 contenders have crept up, with the team's current drivers Etienne Jones and Nicolas Zorbach, the team's newly recruited test driver Maxim Titkov, and 3 other GP2 drivers, which are Scotland's Max Skillen, Italy's Alessandro Tomaselli, cousin of current Sauber driver Paolino Tomaselli, and former Red Bull test driver Isaac Facheray. These next 10 weeks are going to be very interesting, so brace yourself, as we could be looking at one of the most chaotic and interesting silly seasons in quite a while. And that concludes the pilot episode of the GP4 OC News Series 5. The first team news of the season will break at the Hungarian Grand Prix next week. Who will be the first driver or drivers to be announced? Tune in to practice next week at the Hungaroring.
straight away in about 2 minutes. This will allow us to...
Keep the pressure on.